Hey everybody, this is Deb with Truthification Chronicles, and I have several links and suggestions for you today. Wow. It's the teacher in me. I kind of want to give you a homework assignment. So I guess maybe that's what I'm doing here, giving you lots of things that you can go look for yourself. I don't want to play these episodes for you because I don't want to get a copyright strike, but also because I want them to get the benefit of having the views. So I'll put all of these links down below and you can check them out for yourself. But I think there's some really valuable information in this stuff, and I'm going to tell you a little bit about it. First of all, episode 900 of Dan Bongino's show, he did a great job. Wow. We've seen this scandal before because he goes through and he shows you how all of this Russian collusion, I mean down to the names of the people involved. It's all something that was written way back and was used against John McCain. So it's kind of interesting if you go through and you watch this because there's so much of it. What we're watching now is like it was scripted. Serious, you've got to hear this. And it is a podcast, so there's no real picture. You can just listen to it, but still, it's very good stuff. You need to hear this podcast of his because, wow. And several of them right around here. He has been doing some spot on stuff, and it's very insightful about what's happening with the Russia stuff. So I wanted to recommend that. Again, the links will be down below. You can check them there. If you don't know how to access that, it's in the description, and there's usually a little arrow or something, especially on like cell phones and tablets and things. There's a little arrow. You click on that, and it pops it open. So you can see the description, and in there it'll have all these links. Then they're clickable and you can click on them. Okay, now the next one I wanted to tell you about was this one, and this is by Body Language Ghost. Mandy from her channel used to be called Bombard's Body Language, but they gave her a lot of grief and everything, so she doesn't do full clips too much anymore. She puts those on her own website and everything so people can see them there. But this one, she gave just enough of it, and it's very interesting what she had to say about this. And partway through, she notices that Trump looks like he's not totally on board with what's going on and that he's got a plan. She actually says that he looks like he has a plan, something other than what he's saying. And I think that's very significant. So anyway, she always does some really good things. So it's good to subscribe to her channel and know what's going on and see her videos as they come out, because usually there's a lot of insight in them as to what's going on with the people's body language. So I wanted to point that out to you. This one is very interesting. Somebody in the comments, and I'm sorry, I don't remember who. I've just been getting a whole ton of comments lately, and it's been hard for me to keep up. So if I don't give you a thumbs up or something, please don't take that as me saying I don't like your comment. It just could be that I missed it. And so I'm trying to get to them, but sometimes I just don't see everything that's there. And so please don't think I'm not liking you or paying attention to you. I just can't catch them all. So this one, somebody gave me this, and it was really interesting. This is a theory about Pelosi, and what I liked about this particular one, it's by Headlines with a Voice. And what I really liked about this is that she goes through logically and says, here are the facts. Now, here are some things that have to be answered, and what is the deal here? Question this, question that. And so it's very logically based, looking at things and saying, this looks like circumstantial evidence. And what does it look like? Well, you're going to have to watch this. It's only 11 minutes long. I highly recommend it. I think it was really interesting. I'm not sure I agree with totally everything, but I agree with a lot of it. So, and then this one, someone else gave me this. I don't know. For the ones that gave them to me, I thank you so much because they were really interesting. This one, you ought to hear him go after CNN. Representative Brooks. Oh, he did a great job there. Wow, he took CNN apart. So I'll put the link to that down below too. It's worth seeing. Okay, and then we have this one that was posted on Twitter, and these are the 6 people who voted against the border wall. Now, one of the things that a lot of people have been saying today is they're very upset that Trump caved, is what they're saying. Did Trump cave? I don't so much think so. I mean, appears to be so, but he's got something else up his sleeve, just like I said, Mandy said he does. He's got something else up his sleeve. He's a chess master, and he's moving his pieces around, and it may look like he's just about ready to lose the whole thing, and you just watch to see what's going to happen. Yep, I think he's got something going on here. I'm not sure exactly how it's going to play out. Of course, I can't read his mind, but I do think that there's something, and it's going to benefit us. It's also going to show who the people are that don't care about the security of our southern border. And that's significant because of the things that come across our border and are happening there. So these 6, I think it outed them. That was one reason why Trump wanted this vote to go, because we now know the people who are not going to stand with it. Now, I don't know these people personally. Obviously, I don't. But I do know of them, and I know that some of them have been very wishy-washy in the past. So I think that Trump was kind of trying to expose what was going on. So be aware of these people. If one of them represents you, let them have an earful, okay? Go to the Senate website. It's senate.gov, I believe, and you can send them an email and let them know that you disagree with what they did. Okay, now, this is an Anon, and it was his opinion of what's going on, and this is what I really wanted to let you know. Why did Trump do what he did? Did he really cave? Did he just give in to Nancy Pelosi? What's going on? I think this guy probably has a good take on it. This was what I was thinking. It's kind of reassuring when I go to 8chan and I have this all set in my mind, what I think was going on, and then I read somebody else said it. So it really is kind of interesting. You also see a lot of people here agreed with them. Of course, not everybody up there is in agreement, but let's see what it says. Well, I am going to clean up some of the language, okay? But the language is still there. You'll see it. All right, since Q's not here, I'll have to explain this to you all. Of course, all you smart Anons already know this, so this is mostly for the shills. Now, shills are the people that come on the board who are trying to disrupt us and try to keep us from doing research on Q and on the things that Q has pointed out. Some of the shills are like black hat CIA guys and some deep state guys. They are often out to attack this board, and sometimes it's worse than others, but it has been kind of tough lately, and they say a lot of negative things, just trying to get us off the track and trying to discredit the board, really. So let's go on. The shutdown was a show. It may seem a little risky to hold back the pay of 800,000 people, but in the end, the risk isn't as high as it seems, since they ultimately will get paid their back pay. And by holding them hostage, it forces people to pay attention to the issue. What issue? One thing, and one thing only: the big, beautiful wall. For the past 30-plus days, everyone has been debating the merits and problems of a wall. It doesn't work. It works everywhere. Everyone weighs in on it. We know most people who say it doesn't work are lying to themselves. They only have to look outside their window and witness their fence, or closer still, the wall that the window is cut out of that prevents their family from harm. Walls work. Everyone knows this. So then, everyone asks, why though? What's the threat? Are there really gangsters pouring over? Many will actually finally look into it and find out, holy schmoly, who is this MS-13 gang? Illegals cost how much? Wait, how many illegals are there really? 11 million? But that stat hasn't been updated for 10 years? What's going on? Of course, the diehards who do know it's the right thing to do but will not consent no matter what because they don't like Trump, will still say open borders. But now they're the fringe idiots and they're exposed. The Democrats are stupid though. They won't realize that a cultural shift just happened and are still going to push against funding for the wall. Funding that they themselves wanted mere years ago. Darn hypocrites. We who have been following Q since the start always knew that the plan was having the military build the wall. Period. Q gave us that information several months ago. This is still the plan. The politicians are too bought and paid for by the gangs of Mexico and the overlords of the New World Order. Period. POTUS has the power of the U.S. military. It was ever his only chance of building it. But this part is the key. He can't just do it. I believe I said this in a video previously. He can't just do it. You can't just do it outright. Okay? He's got to get them accustomed to the idea. Anyway, he can't just blindly declare an emergency. If he did it cold, people would freak out at him. Even centrists would freak out at him. But by warming the waters through the national conversation of the longest shutdown in history, now not only centrists but left-leaners will actually think, oh, maybe not there's an emergency. What harm could a wall be anyway? Let him build his silly little wall. Yeah, they're getting tired of it, so everybody's just going to say, just give him the money for the wall already. I'm tired of hearing about it. So now, what would have been a draconian dictator-like power grab in their eyes becomes a whatever, just whatever move in the minds of the majority. But the Democrats would have had the power to stop this if they held the Senate and the SCOTUS, Supreme Court. This was key, as Q has said. The House didn't matter. And in fact, it's actually better optics to give the useless House to the Democrats to make them embarrass themselves daily. Getting the picture? What do you want for Christmas? Okay, so basically this guy is saying, hey, you know what? It's all, again, trying to set things up. It's part of the pattern that we've been seeing. Something happens, it looks bad, but then it ends up turning it around and making things look better. Now Trump has 3 more weeks to get people to hear about the wall, the wall, the wall, the wall. That's all they're going to be hearing. And you can bet that more people are looking into it when there are these claims about how many illegal immigrants there are in the U.S. or about whether there's a threat coming or not. What about this new caravan that's forming in Honduras? Is that real? People are starting to look into it. And so it is waking up the American people. Now, I do understand that, again, optics are not something a lot of people care about. But it is important because Trump is trying to do this in a way that causes the least amount of casualties from American citizens. Okay? And that means that sometimes things are going to have to be done slower so it wakes more people up. That's really what's going on here. That it's a slow process to those of us who are awake because we understand the corruption. We know what's been going on. We have a much better grasp on what the criminals have done. But a lot of people don't still. That's what has to be changed. And because of this Covington Catholic Church thing, it's going to start coming out into the forefront about the unreliability of the media. That's vital because if we can crack the media, then people are going to wake up faster because once they start seeing the media as being unreliable, which is what they've already started seeing with the BuzzFeed issue and then the Covington issue, people are going to start questioning what the media has to say and what they're portraying to us because we know that they're taking clips sometimes and readjusting them. I saw one the other day that came from CNN that was of Trump saying something and it was like Trump during the campaign talking about the LGBTQ whatever all the letters are movement and about supporting them and protecting them. But then when you looked at the entire clip, what he was talking about is MS-13 gangs and people coming across the border and making our country unsafe. So people's lives were in danger. And that he said he wanted to protect them from that. When CNN cut it, it made it look like he was totally supporting this community. It was really kind of odd, but then again, that's what CNN does. And again, if you want to hear about that, go to this guy. Listen to what he has to say about CNN. It was wonderful. This guy responded to the one that I just read. Not only what the Anon said, but consider the following. Q always said the wall would be built by the military. When Nancy stays an obstructionist and blocks wall funding, Trump gets it done anyway. If by some miracle rank and file Congress members get the funding done, then Chuck and Nancy look bad. See Trump, Art of the Deal on Denigrating an Opponent. I also like the whole idea of a month without funding the bigoted federal government agencies and departments. Trump just proved how the important things get done without them. I think that's a big part of it too. A lot of you people were talking about the rifts, and I know that's still a big thing. But look, we've not had anybody rift at this point. So I don't think that was the purpose of this part. But I do think this is a good probability that he was trying to show how, look, how much can get done without all these extra people. I think this is going to be playing into it a few moves ahead. This is what we have to remember. Trump is treating this like a chess game. So he is thinking many steps ahead of the rest of us. Now, for me, I was never very good at chess because I didn't like the idea of planning so far in advance and having this move and that move and that move and all the strategy it took. It was just like so exhausting to do that. It wasn't fun. But with Trump, I think he thrives on this. And I do honestly believe that he is a total genius, like high IQ person who has the ability to see so many steps into the future and how he wants to get from here to there. He's got such an ability to make plans like that. And I think that's what we're seeing, except when we see it, we don't always see the next steps that are going to take us to where we need to go. It's kind of like a family going on a trip. You get in the car, okay, you're going to go to Disney World or Land, whichever is close to you. And so you get the kids in the car, and all they know is, we're going to Disney, we're going to Disney. So all the way there, the kids keep saying, are we there yet? Are we there yet? Are we there yet? It's like, no, there's a long way to go between here and there. And the kids don't have the concept of how long it takes to get from one place to another and how many stops there are in between, how many states you have to cross or whatever the case is. So in a lot of ways, we're like that. We don't always see all the steps it's going to take to get to our end goal. We see where we are now, we see where we want to be and where Q says we're going to be, and we don't see the in-between. We don't understand that. That's why when people like me who are expressing our ideas on this, sometimes we get things wrong. It's going to happen because we don't see the whole thing. We don't quite understand all the little steps along the way. There have been times in the past where I thought something should go a certain way, and I've made videos on it, of course, and then it didn't turn out that way because when I look back, I can see there were steps along the way that I didn't understand had to be there. And those had to be put in place before the next thing could happen. So we have to keep in mind that we don't see the whole plan. We don't understand what all the little tiny steps are that necessarily need to get us to where we are going to be. So I think in this case, this probably is true, what this Anon is saying. He's setting things up to show how bloated the government is and that, yes, there need to be riffings, but it's not time yet for that to happen. The same thing with using the military to build a wall. Sure, he could do it right this moment. But what would happen there is then the mainstream media would take that as a confirmation that he's a little dictator, and they would start promoting that again. So the less he does that and the more accustomed he gets people to the idea that that's going to happen, the less it will seem like a dictatorial move when he actually does it. And I think this is the same thing here. He's giving people the idea that, you know what, there's a lot of people working on our government that just don't need to be there. I think this is setting things up for future riffing. That's why I said right now, that's not part of the plan, but it is going to be in the future, I think. And again, who knows, maybe I'm wrong on that, but that's my opinion on it at this point. Okay, going on, he says, we also heard a lot about heads of departments spend the majority, 85% plus, of their time stopping career government employees from sabotaging Trump's agenda. A month without that energy time drain, priceless. I am certain Trump is not done showing how Democrats are obstructing the will of the majority of the American people. The past shutdown and the next, and yes, I predict there will be another, either in 3 weeks or next debt ceiling, will be about optics for 2020. I'm not sure about the optics for 2020, but I do think that in 3 weeks we're going to see another government shutdown, or he's just going to say, I'm going to build the wall. So that is going to happen. Very interesting there on that. Now, this graphic, I'm not going to go over this too much, but if you're a Q person, I wanted to bring this to your forefront so you could look through it on your own. It has a lot of things in it, and I know 100% if I go through this, I am going to get demonetized. So I am not going to do that. But it does mention, this is a Q post from back in August of 18, and it talks about Perkins Coie as a shell company. Also Fusion GPS, connection with no name, and the CS here is Christopher Steele. So I'm not going to go through all this because honestly there are still things in here and people's initials I'm not sure of, but this is basically the whole plan. When you look at it, it was their whole plan to take down Trump. So it's really eye-opening who all is involved. But when I looked over, it was like, yeah, there's a lot of letters there. I don't remember. I call this one the alphabet soup one. But anyway, this whole thing, you can see it all deals with some topics up here and brings a lot of things all together that are connected. So I thought this would be good, and I'm going to leave it down below, the link to it, so you can see it. You'll have to really make it bigger to be able to see some stuff. But it mentions Perkins Coie here. United States District Court for the District of Arizona, court case number CR 18465, notice of forfeiture for these assets. And then down here, notice who else. Funds in U.S. bank account in the name of Perkins Coie. The estimated value is $2.9 million. So again, I'm going to leave this for you, and if you're not a Q follower, you probably don't care too much about this, but there is some interesting information other than the Q posts that are listed here, and it kind of connects them all together. So I think it's really a good, valuable thing for you to see. The last thing I want to show you is, I know I just talked about demonetization. The reason I'm talking about it is right here. This is the proof, okay? I know it sounds weird, but here's the deal. Okay, this is the dethroning Pelosi video, right? I put it out about here, about 11 o'clock on January 23rd. And it got several views the first couple hours it was out, and then it went down, which is not totally unusual. But then it got down here to just, 400, 500. Not that that can't happen, but it was demonetized as it came out of the chute, okay? So all of this time it was demonetized. Guess when it was remonetized, when they had done a manual review on it. Guess when that was? Yeah, right here. Now why 24 hours after I posted it, or approximately 24 hours, why did I get this huge spike here? That's unusual. Okay, if you don't know anything about YouTube videos, why did I get that particular spike right at that time, right after it was remonetized? Interesting, isn't it? And it's been doing pretty well. I mean, not like it did here, it did a little bit better. But for a video, the first 24 hours are really the biggest time. But that's not the case here. And so that's what I wanted to point out to you. This is why I keep saying that when they are demonetized, what happens, in my opinion, is they don't put them in the recommendations as much. And so people don't see them. I have my cell phone set up with my Garden Devotions channel name, so I can kind of see it from a little different perspective than from the Truthification Chronicles perspective. And it didn't notify me about this until after it had been monetized. I just think it's really odd that it's not giving me notifications on these videos right off if they're demonetized. So I think that is what's happening. Now that's my conclusions. Maybe I'm wrong on that, but from the evidence I've seen, and this isn't unusual, this has happened many, many times. And you can see 42,000 views. Now that doesn't mean I didn't get any along here. I had about 11,000, I think, before it got monetized. But 11,000 in the first 24 hours, and then it was monetized, and all of a sudden I have 42,000. So that to me says something's fishy. There's something unusual about it. So I wanted to share that with you. That's why I may mention that something is demonetized, not because of the money, but because it doesn't get out there and the information's not being put out to the public as much. So again, that's my opinion. It comes from me looking at these charts, and this is what appears to be happening in my opinion. Now, remember, I have a birthday coming up in April, and I really, really would like to hit 60,000 subscribers by then. Oh, I know that's going to be a tough. Is it a dream? I don't know, but that's what my goal is. I have to set goals. And my goal is to have 60,000 subscribers by my birthday, which is kind of in the middle-ish of April. So, if you could help me by clicking on the subscribe button, don't forget to do the little notifications bell too, because I don't always put my videos out as regularly as I want to. I'm working on it, but I have some health issues, and sometimes that makes me take longer to do things. And sometimes I just get caught up in all the research. And I get so engrossed in it that I kind of lose track of time. So if you would just click that subscribe button, I'd really appreciate it. It would make my day. Woohoo! So I want to thank you for stopping by, and I'll see y'all later.